How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to another Yankee recap episode here on Infinite Sports. I'm your host, Kenneth Grunfelder. So the Yankees once again pick up another victory. They defeat the Chicago White Sox 5-3. They sweep the White Sox in the second to last series of the year, and they are still tied with the Blue Jays for first place in the AL East. The Blue Jays did pick up a win against the Red Sox last night. And again, I know I say tie. Technically, the Blue Jays have the advantage because, they won the season series. But right now, record-wise, they're tied. So now we go into this weekend. A lot of drama. A lot of drama is ahead of us. And it's going to be tough for the Yankees this weekend because I did kind of allude to it yesterday with the pitching matchups against the Orioles. We'll talk about it starting tonight. But yeah, the Yankees picked up another victory last night. Wasn't looking great. Carlos Rodón had some issues last night, but still put together a good outing. 6 innings. He did give up 3 earned runs, but had 5 strikeouts and only 1 walk. So, remember when Rodón was having issues with the walks? That has been the case. So he finishes up the regular season, picking up his 18th victory of the season. But let's kind of go through how this game unfolded. So the Yankees, once again, have the bases loaded. Nobody out. Trent Grisham singled. First of all, Rodón pitched a clean first inning. Grisham singles. Judge double. Second and third. Bellinger ends up walking. So now you got bases loaded, nobody out. All right. Put up a crooked number, like I said the other night. Ben Rice then grounds back to the pitcher. That does score a run. Okay, 1-0 Yankees. Good. But then Giancarlo Stanton strikes out, and then Jazz Chisholm grounds out. So once again, the Yankees squander another opportunity to put more runs on the board. The White Sox in the top of the second don't get anything. They have a couple guys on base, but there was a sac bunt by Michael A. Taylor, then a sac fly, which actually did score a run, but Rodón ends up striking out the next batter. So it's 1-1. Yankees, again, bases loaded. They intentionally walk Aaron Judge, but they get Cody Bellinger to ground out. So another opportunity wasted. And then later in the game, top of the 4th inning, Rodón walks Miguel Vargas, and then he gives up a 2-run homer to Michael A. Taylor, who should have caught that ball on the Jose Caballero walk-off. And then he made it, and then he laid out, I think he laid out for another ball last night. And I'm saying, where was that? Why didn't he? I don't know. But anyways, yeah, so it was 3-1 White Sox at that point. But then in the bottom of the 5th inning, Judge singles, Bellinger singles, Ben Rice works a walk. How many pitches was that at bat? It was a six pitch at bat. Ends up taking a lot of lays off of those lone outside pitches. And then here comes Giancarlo Stanton, who's really been struggling. And Stanton cashes in. Double to left field. Scores Judge, scores Bellinger, scores Rice. Yankees lead 4-3. And that was all the scoring at that point. Derek Hill had a diving catch later in the game. Probably could have used him out in center field the other night in the bottom of the 6th inning. No scoring in the top of the 7th. Luke Weaver came in, pitched a clean inning, replacing Rodón. And then in the bottom of the 7th, Stanton walked. They put in Dominguez to pinch run. Jazz ends up grounding out, but Austin Wells ends up doubling. Big insurance run. That scores Dominguez to make it 5-3. And then in the top of the 8th inning, Devin Williams comes in. He does walk Colson Montgomery, and he gives up a single after recording the first 2 outs. But then he gets Miguel Vargas to line out to end the 8th inning. Devin Williams still pitching well. Yankees don't do anything in the 8th inning, and then in the top of the 9th inning, David Bednar comes in, gets a couple of ground outs, and then he strikes out Will Robertson to end the game. And the Yankees sweep the White Sox. So the Yankees continue to do what they are supposed to do. They're still winning games, keeping up with the Blue Jays. That's all you can do right now. And you just got to hope that, hey, you somehow sweep the Orioles, and the Blue Jays lose at least one game, and you're AL East champs. So, first I want to talk about Rodón. I want to talk about Rodón and Fried, because I know this has been touched upon in Yankee Universe. First of all, with Rodón, a couple of years ago, his final start in Kansas City, the first year with the Yankees, he turns his back on Matt Blake, and he had an awful year. He was 3-8, ERA was bad. Everything was bad with Rodón. And it just looked like it wasn't going to work out here. And then even last year at certain points, had a good start. Then in the middle of the year, I mean, I remember he was getting pounded. I mean, it was a start against the Blue Jays last year where it was 8-0 in the first inning. He couldn't get anybody out. But then he settled down and pitched well towards the end of the year, and he had some good starts in the postseason. And then all of a sudden, this year, he wins 18 games, and he's one of their best starters behind Max Fried. So he's really turned it around, and that's really what Yankee fans like, is when they see players overcome adversity like Rodón did. You know, a lot of times guys come to New York and they just completely flame out. Sometimes, you know, guys like Didi Gregorius, it looked like it wasn't going to pan out after he got off to a rough start, but then he really came into his own. He's a fan favorite. Now, I'm not saying Rodon's a fan favorite to that extent, but Rodón has turned himself into a very good pitcher here, and he's going to play a huge role in the postseason. So, I mean, what a season he's had, but there's still work to be done. And the same thing with Max Fried. I mean, Max Fried, you know, they asked him about his season. He said it's not done yet. But, you know, Max Fried talked about, you know, when he was asked with the injury with Cole, he said, look, I still had to go out and do my job and, you know, pitch every fifth day, you know, regardless if Cole's there or not. But for us, you know, we look at it as, hey, you know, he's got to take on a bigger role. He's got to become that ace because Garrett Cole's not there. And he did more than just that. He won 19 games this season. Where would the Yankees be without Max Fried? Not where they are right now. That's for sure. I mean, he had a little bit of a struggle with, you know, overcoming the blister, and, you know, just he didn't look like the same pitcher. And then I'm thinking, man, is he just going to fall off like that? But he's really rebounded here, and it's at the perfect time with the postseason nearing. So Yankees, like I said, I like where their rotation is at with Fried, with Rodón at the top, and then we'll see what happens with the other guys, Schlittler and Heel, because those are going to be the other postseason starters. Now, again, we have to see how this all shapes out, because if the Yankees pass the Blue Jays, they end up winning the division, well, then you're going to at least play 3 playoff games. You know, but if you're in the wild card round, you know, you could get swept and then you're out in 2 games. So, you know, again, we got to see who's going to be that Game 3 starter. I'm curious to see what happens there. But it's going to be one of those 2 guys. But at least at the top, at least with Rodón and Fried at the top, Yankees got a good chance against anybody if they're on their A games. Again, there's still things to worry about with this team. I've said it over and over again. But you got to like where the rotation is at. And, I mean, Rodón and Fried, they were both all-stars this year, well-deserved. And, you know, next year, those guys are healthy. Garrett Cole comes back. And then you got Heel. You got Schlittler. There's going to be no Clark Schmidt, unfortunately. That is a heck of a rotation to be excited about. So, yeah, Yankees pick up the win. Blue Jays did win last night, like I said, so they're still tied. But now we go into this series against the Orioles. And you got Will Warren against Trevor Rogers tonight. It's going to be tough. Trevor Rogers has had a very good year for the Orioles. Lefty. I'm assuming the Yankees are going to go with a heavy right-handed lineup like they did last week. Then you got Sagano against Schlittler tomorrow, and then Kyle Bradish against Luis Heel on Sunday. So Yankees are going to see the same pitchers they saw last week. So maybe, you know, that bodes well for them. But then you could see the same thing for the Orioles. So Yankees just got to continue to handle their business. You know, the Orioles, they're going to want to play spoiler. They are really going to want to play spoiler. So we will see what happens there. But Tigers finally ended their losing streak last night to go around the league. So now they're back tied with the Guardians for first place in the Central. The Mets picked up a huge win last night. Noah McLean pitched really well, although had some problems with Seiya Suzuki, who had a couple of home runs. But the Mets are still in sole possession of that third wild card. Dodgers clinched the NL West yesterday. No surprise there. They've won it 12 of the last 13 years. And the only year that they didn't win, I think, was when the Giants won in 2021, right? That was the 100-win season. And who knocked them out of the playoffs that year? The Dodgers. So, yeah, Dodgers, NL West champs. Yeah, so, I mean, there's still things to be decided. The AL Central, the Mariners, they clinched the 2 seed in the American League. So it's going to come down to, you know, it's crazy. It's either the Yankees or the Blue Jays is going to be the 1 seed, or you're going to be the wild card. That's how crazy that is. It's kind of like what happened last year with the Vikings and the Lions, if you want to use that as an analogy. And then, yeah, so Brewers got home field advantage, I think, unless they get swept and the Phillies sweep who they're playing against this weekend. I don't think that's going to happen. Dodgers are basically locked into the wild card as the third division winner. Cubs are the first wild card team. Padres are the second wild card team. And then the Mets are right now the Mets are the final wild card team. And then you got the Reds and the Diamondbacks 2 games back. So we'll see. So that's how it looks right now going into this weekend. Yankees against the Orioles. We got the Cubs and the Cardinals playing right now. Rays and Blue Jays begin a series on Apple TV. Same with Tigers and the Red Sox. Guardians are playing the Rangers. Mets playing the Marlins. And then you got the Pirates at the Braves. Well, that doesn't really have anything. No, Brewers and Reds. That's an interesting series. And then you got the Astros playing the Angels. Astros, there's a chance they might not even be in it. And then you got the Dodgers and the Mariners. Will Cal Raleigh reach 62, 63 homers? We'll see. Break Aaron Judge's record? We'll find out. But that's what we got for this weekend. It's going to be an exciting finish to the regular season. So as always, everybody, make sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe to the video, to the channel. Make sure to follow us on the social media platforms in the description below. And wherever you get your podcasts, you can always listen to us as well. Just look up Infinite Sports. You'll find us there. And as always, everybody, I'm your host, Kenneth Grunfelder, signing off. Have a good one. Talk to you guys next time. Take care.